There we go. Let's quickly share the stream. All right. The stream is shared. There we go. Alright, normally I make a video about the Nasdaq daily, but if I'm live streaming, I'm not gonna upload the video because I can just do it in a live stream as well. Yesterday, I want to recap on what happened yesterday. I'm just gonna do what I would normally do when I'm making a video. I talked about this bearish change of character on the 1 hour time frame, which could cause for some local bearish price action. Well, we got local bearish price action, and with the Federal Reserve meeting of yesterday, we got a bit more aggression into the market, trading towards the lows. Yesterday, this 4 hour PD array was my first POI zone to look for continuation longs to the upside. As you can see, we never closed below this 4 hour fair value gap, closed nicely in it and pushed us towards new all-time highs already. I also pointed out this level. I said if this step, because this was our first step into our 4 hour PD array, is enough to bring us towards new highs, I'm looking at this zone. Just before the Federal Reserve meeting, we got a tap in there, a great reaction up, but the Federal Reserve meeting caused for, yeah, a lot of aggression on the market, as you can see on the 1 minute, with a pump up, sweeping some liquidity, and after you swept some liquidity to the left, the news just brought you down, 2 legs down, and from there, when you took out this liquidity point and bounced from this zone, even though it's news, don't forget, price will always do what it intended to do either way. So we bounced from this demand zone, this whole block, how you want to call it, just a great place to look for support. And from there we started coming up, because in the short term the news was pretty bullish. The interest rates got cut by 0.25% again, and the forecast is they will do the same in October and maybe even in December. So of course in the short term that is gonna be beneficial for the markets. So that caused a pump up. Let's get rid of this, let's get rid of this, just clean up the chart. Then if we look at the sessions, when Asia started, it's a pretty big Asia, we came up towards new all-time highs. As you can see, indicated with the SMT on the highs, the S&P 500 didn't make new all-time highs, indicating that they're not in correlation with each other anymore, and that can often be a start of an impulse move the other way. As you can see, just before London started, just after Asia ended and before London started, we took out Asia high with the wick towards new all-time highs. And from there, we try to make a higher low for a new higher high. You fill, close below the last low that brought you towards new highs. And you also close below the low that should have brought you towards new all-time highs. So you're getting pretty bearish. And from there, we just continued moving towards the downside. Just before London started, you're gonna get a bit of a consolidation because people don't know what London is gonna do. London continued the down move a bit further towards some liquidity and also tapping into this 4-hour PD array right here. And as you can see, that caused for a lot of support in the market to push price up again towards new all-time highs. And I believe the S&P also made new all-time highs. Rawi, let's go. Appreciate this, mate. Clear as day. Beautiful, man. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Taking some time in your day to hop into the stream. So we tapped into this 4-hour value gap and just started moving up from there. Also with a lot of aggression. Yeah. Not really any place to be seen in here. Then just before we made new all-time highs, we took out the extreme, got a reaction down from that, needing more liquidity from the lows, and this small liquidity pool was enough to bring us towards new all-time highs. And right now we're just continue making higher highs, higher lows, and with that, all-time highs. Let's see what could be a place to get some continuation longs. Of course, an old all-time high is always a great place to look for continuations. It's the most aggressive way to continue your trend, test back old highs and continue from there. So that of course will be a POI zone. And then yeah, we just created it and making higher highs and higher lows. It's a bit difficult to say right now what the market needs to do for a play. You just have to wait and be patient on local price action. Rawi, since you're here, do you have any special chart requests for me? Gold, that is an interesting one. We analyzed it a while back when we were in that compression. I see you got rid of pretty much everything. Alright, gold. Got a big push up from this bottom. Not gonna go too much in depth. But we called this move pretty nicely. And then the continuation long on this breaker. If you're interested in that, go watch back an old live stream or join the Discord because there's a lot of information about gold shared in there as well. So let's get into what is locally happening on gold. Rejected from a pretty nice level. When you are in price discovery, credits to Rawi and Wishay for this one, you're gonna get at round numbers like this, 3700. It's just psychological levels. I'm not gonna get more in depth about that, but it's not a coincidence you stop at the psychological level like this, and from there we started coming down, indicating we are probably needing some more liquidity from the lows. If you look at this, we have put in a pretty nice bottom right here. Could say 3 taps, but it are 2 taps. Building up some liquidity to fill up their own orders, to then continue your trend up towards new highs. So this bottom is pretty nice. Just before we could take out the last bit of liquidity of this build-up trend liquidity locally, and of course this strong liquidity high, maybe it's a data high or something, I don't know, but it is a pretty big high. We needed more liquidity from the lows, indicating that if big positions need to be filled up, they are going to push price down, creating more liquidity on the highs, of course, to trade towards liquidity to fill their orders up again. So that happened right here, and from there we could continue the up move towards new all-time highs. Let's see what happened when we got at that price discovery of 3700. This is the last bit of price action that brought you towards new highs. Of course, on the 1 hour, it's not even valid structure on the 1 hour. This is your last pullback that brought you towards new highs. So if you're gonna zoom in on the 50-minute, it obviously is this point. You broke it towards the downside, and from there you started making lower highs and lower lows, as what is expected. When you broke structure towards the downside, you're gonna make lower highs, lower lows, looking for liquidity until you have taken out enough to continue your trend towards the upside again, because higher time frame of gold, of course, you are still bullish. So then you're gonna look at which liquidity points can be enough for gold to reverse the move up again. As I said, if they have filled the positions right here and once again right here, they want to protect these lows at all costs. So what do you want to see? These lows being left open. They can take out some other liquidity points. Right now we have equals right here, but we already took out some liquidity from the bottom above that low. If this is enough in combination with the demand we left behind there, trading up, then this could be a place for gold to continue the up move again. If this isn't enough, you're gonna see a rejection from this high, indicating we're gonna need more liquidity from the lows. If this isn't enough, and next demand zone right here, once again at a pretty round number, just like at the top. So it's an interesting level to look at as well. 3600. We got some rejection from here. Testing back, well, barely. Just front running this old high. You already used it right here, but just front run it right there. And from there make new highs. So right now, it looks like gold needs more liquidity from the lows to continue its up move. This could be enough. Even with the equals, the market doesn't have to take them out. Took out some liquidity, came into your first point of demand right here. So if gold wants to continue, on the 50-minute, this is a nice pullback. If you can break above that, and on your mid-time frame, this high, then the expected order flow is going towards that high and then continue your trend. Once again, if you fail, you can still come down, take out more liquidity from the lows, maybe even this low, and get an accumulation right here. So that is what I would be looking for on gold. Local confirmations right now that this is enough, and otherwise look at the next liquidity points or the next demand zone. Euro dollar. There he is, Trader Cage. What's up, man? Which one is better? Is it the Owanda or the FXCM? I see I have charted this a long time ago. So I guess it's the Owanda one. Both are fine, alright. And we're just gonna analyze this one. This is still pretty bearish on the higher time frame. Of course, this is more bullish than bearish, but on the monthly time frame, this is your last high that brought you towards new lows. So you can still reject this high and from there continue your monthly trend towards the downside. Yeah, on the weekly you already gained something at the bottom right here. Sure, weekly time frame is up until proven otherwise. This indicates a lot of bullish price action as well, of course. Also really strong off the market to test back this old high that brought you towards a low that took out a lot of liquidity from the lows. That got into a demand zone right here. Okay, interesting that this song is in here.
Connection lost.
You got it to this demand zone. Let's see if there's another. Yeah, you can refine it a bit by this, but this whole block was just a place for the market there where you could continue your trend, taking out liquidity. When you trade it above this high again, it is really strong if you test it back like this and continue your trend up. So pretty bullish on Euro USD in that way. Just took out some nasty liquidity though. Pretty much your last liquidity before you're gonna trade towards these highs over here, which are probably also the monthly highs that brought you towards this low. So let's see what kind of reaction we're getting from that. not valid structure, so also not a valid break towards the downside. And if this was a break, this is the cleanest break as well, because you only have one close below it, and from there you started coming up again. Two support zones locally right here. You can draw it in like this. And you have this old high once again. Last bit of struggle before we started trading above these highs and towards the liquidity to the left. Bit the same as what we did with this old high right here. Old highs are a strong way for the market to continue the trend. So right now locally you're in some support on Euro USD. And on the daily, this is your low to hold. So if you're gonna close below this in combination with the liquidity we took out, it can be pretty likely that euro dollar is gonna need more liquidity from the lows to trade towards these highs to the left. But right now we're still up until proven otherwise, so let's look if you can get some local confirmations we can look up. If the market wants to respect this as a break towards the upside on your 1 hour time frame, internally of course, then you want to see this low get protected to move up again. Yeah, so euro dollar on the higher time frame, your daily low to hold is this one. So to continue your trend on the daily, we can maybe see a tap into this demand and continue the move if this isn't enough. Locally right now, we have had a candle close above this structure pool. Of course it is internal, but it can give you an indication we are getting more bullish in this internal move as well. So you expect a higher low and a new higher high. This would be a zone where you can get it. And if this isn't the break of structure on Forex, as I don't really trade or chart Forex, I don't know. Maybe if it's the same on crypto, you have to have open and closes with your candle above the structure high. Then this is the break. Of course, you can go lower, taking out some liquidity, tap into this demand zone. Maybe even come back all the way down here to continue your trend. Let's see if there's some market maker involvement at the bottom right here that could be protected. Because this is just all build up trend liquidity. So if you're gonna fill to hold there, this is really interesting to take out as a result of this liquidity hint to the left. Though you have this demand zone, pretty much your origin that brought you towards this high. Also a great move in which you manipulated. A lot of people that started buying right here and started buying up this higher low have put their stop losses below this low and this low. So you got some nice manipulation here, taking out buyers before you could trade towards the higher low, towards the liquidity on the high, sorry. So this could be a great place for euro dollar to continue to move if we're gonna fail to hold here locally. Yeah, that is what I would be looking at. Quick sneak peek on Nasdaq. Still squeezing up. Another random song in the playlist. Cage, do you have a chart request for me? I hope the requests from Rowie are clear. I don't know if you have a different view on one of them. Of course, you can let me know as well. Maybe I'm missing something on the chart. Awesome, mate. Thank you, brother. Need to leave now. Yeah. Thanks for being here for a bit, Rowie. See you. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Let's look at some stocks if Trader Cage doesn't have a chart request. Because of course we had some big news yesterday. Link, as in Link USDT crypto, I reckon. Okay, now we're gonna do that first. Oh. Oh yeah, Link was interesting yesterday. Get rid of all this. Liquidity hunt before all-time highs, I think. Oh no, not even. Okay. All-time highs are all the way over there. But liquidity hunt of your extreme liquidity before this high. So of course you're gonna get a reaction from that. From there you started moving down, looking for liquidity and support to continue your up move. And in this move down, looks like we're building up a lot of liquidity on the highs to take out. And we are still taking liquidity from the lows until we have taken enough to continue your up move. Most of the times you're gonna look for support in the demand zone. We had a really nice 12-hour demand zone left open right here, maybe even higher time frame. I would say 18-hour is your highest time frame, but it looks the cleanest on the 12. Doesn't really matter, just a great demand zone that was still left open when you created this high. So we got a reaction from that, and as you can see right here, this is your last daily structure high that brought you towards this low. If you're gonna break that, your trend has switched from bearish to bullish and you expect higher lows and higher highs. Where could we look for a higher low? There was a demand, let's see on which time frame. Oh yeah, on the 4-hour you can see it pretty nicely. There was a demand right here, maybe even cleaner on the 1-hour. Yeah, 1 hour is really clean. There was still an untouched demand right here from this whole up move. So that can be a place with all the liquidity that was left open right here, and on the move up for the market to put in that higher low on the higher time frame to create a new higher high. We also got a nice market maker bottom right here with a range. For the people on the Discord that have watched the range trading education video of Trader Cage, you are probably more familiar with this. If you are not in the Discord and you didn't watch that video, I highly recommend it. It's exclusive for our Discord members. It's completely free, of course. So if you're interested to join that, there's a link in the description, and I will also drop a link of it in this chat as well. There you go. Pin that, and let's continue with Link. We created a nice range with your deviation right here into the demand zone, sweeping nice liquidity from the left with a nice volume spike. You can see the volume is normally around here. You got a nice spike when you took out the liquidity, indicating that market makers can be filling up their orders on the bottom right here to continue your higher time frame trend. For that, we will have to zoom in, because locally, if you get a nice change of character like we did right here, we can maybe look for a long towards the upside. And that is what Trader Cage said we have to do. So I listened to to the trading partner and gonna look for longs. If you look at the 1 minute, this is the last structure pull that brought you towards the low. If you manage to break this, locally your trend is also up, and you expect to hold this low, and you can look for a higher low to trade towards highs. We had a nice demand zone in which we could look for that continuation long, and after this change of character we came down, leaving behind a lot of trend liquidity on the highs, as you can see right here, to target even locally. We also had a small little demand zone right here. We got in this. From there, internally, we once again got a break in this internal move. So, in this internal move, you are expecting a trend switch to leave open this low, make a higher low, a new higher high, and a new higher low. So we wanted to play this trade. The first setup was right here on this demand zone. I couldn't take it because I was cooking dinner. So then I was looking at a re-entry to trade with this move towards the liquidity to the left. What did we do? We swept some internal liquidity. This was your first place that should have brought you towards new highs, which you fill. If we were bearish and needed more liquidity from the lows, we were gonna use this towards the downside. We didn't. We instantly flipped this level with this small, yeah, you can call it an order block right here, that we gained as well. So I thought, alright, if we are bullish and we're gonna take all this liquidity from the highs, I want to play this order block we made right here, stop loss below this low, and target these highs. That was my thought with this play. But what happened right here, you already got in a lot of buyers right here. Once again, a lot of buyers right here. As for me as well, you can see people are trying to push price up, but the positions of the big money have not been filled yet to target all the liquidity we have to the left. So what do? And I talk about this a lot on the Nasdaq as well. All the people that started buying right here and here have put their stop losses below here and here. So it is really interesting for the market to take out these lows, protect their other low, and then continue your move again. So what happened? As you can see, we came down aggressively, once again a volume spike, taking out the liquidity of the early buyers. A really nice pullback on when you're gaining this. Once again, you can look bullish because your expected order flow are higher highs and higher lows. And this is also your trigger, your place to put on in your entry, because as I explained on the chart on gold and euro USD, old highs are the most aggressive way for the market to continue its trend. So you could have placed your buy on this old high, you could have put your stop loss below here, but if they have filled positions, you can also put your stop loss below old liquidity. That is what I would have done, and then you could target this local liquidity, leave open a small runner for the case the market is gonna take more liquidity from the highs. There was still a small supply left here. You could take some profit right here, and otherwise all the way liquidity right here, or maybe even liquidity right here. Either way, this would have been a really successful trade. But when I took this stop loss, as I said, I was cooking dinner, so right here I was eating dinner and couldn't take this trade. But the move was pretty nice. The pre-planning was pretty nice. I also think Trader Cage analyzed this in his stream. So if you're curious about his explanation on this chart, look at his live stream. So from there, we also smashed the target of the higher time frame range, because with the news we took out some liquidity from the lows and we started coming up. Let's get rid of all this so the chart is a bit cleaner. We took out this low once more and then just blasted towards the range high. Right now we flipped the range high and we're holding support right there. We are in a bit of supply, which is also a really nice level to gain. I would say if we're gonna gain this high, you can use this block. Maybe we can create some sort of a lower time frame accumulation right here to target the highs to the left. Right here and right here. So right now your technical target from this local range already was hit. And right now we're bouncing from this whole demand zone. And of course holding support on your old range high. Locally this could be a range, but this is only, yeah, is this gonna be interesting? The only way this is gonna get interesting is if you're gonna come down really slowly, building up trend liquidity, tapping into your extreme demand, or taking out extreme liquidity right here to then continue your move. So this could already be a local range you can trade if price does this. Not if we're gonna come down just like we came up here, because then your return to zone locally is not interesting to trade towards the highs. But a range like this, if you're gonna build up nice liquidity, come into this demand, could also be a really nice beginning of an impulse to continue the move up. So definitely something to watch. I don't know if Cage agrees with me, if you have put this range into your chart. So that is link. quick sneak peek at NQ again. Still pumping up. I'm gonna put this level in my chart. 750. Let's see if we can get a reaction from there. We're already live for 40 minutes, alright. That's that's pretty long. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess. I wanted to go over some stocks. That is what we're gonna do. We are watching MicroStrategies for a while now. Did I draw in right here? Oh, a local entry, okay. Nice. Yeah, MicroStrategies looks, yeah, it's a bit the same as on Link. MicroStrategies higher time frame is still down until proven otherwise, but locally we have this nice range with a really great return to zone. We already have 2 taps, and this could be your 3rd tap right here, into a small little demand we have right here, and we already got a local break towards the upside. And started trading up from there. But of course, if we're gonna need more liquidity from the lows, we can still make a 3rd tap or take the extreme liquidity off the range to then start coming up. Because we made equals, equals can indicate we need more liquidity from the lows before we can continue the move. Of course, locally, there was some nice build of liquidity. We took that out, tapped it to a demand, and got a strong reaction from it. So maybe we can move up on MicroStrategies from here. And otherwise, there's still these liquidity lows just before the range low to maybe take out and then continue up. And otherwise, your range low is the next place to look for continuation towards all the trend liquidity that has been built up. So locally, I'm absolutely gonna look for longs on MicroStrategies. The pre-market is already pretty high, so that could be an indication that this demand tap with the local liquidity could be enough to continue your up move towards your technical target of the range high. Nvidia, this whole zone, you could draw this in as a whole demand zone. I just did it with an arrow, but these old highs are just a big support zone for Nvidia to continue its up move. This was also your last pullback that brought you towards new lows. You gained it, so you expect higher lows and higher highs. We also have a pretty nice market maker bottom right here, where they have been filling up orders, tapping into a nice demand, and from there we started trading up. So we were looking for a higher low, and this was the place to look for that higher low. Let's zoom in. Okay, nice. This is a result of the news. But if you're gonna gain this, that could be a local trigger. We can move up towards the highs again. Nice to see we tapped it to this pullback. This was the last pullback. That brought you towards new highs. Because if we were still bearish on Nvidia, we were never gonna gain this high right here. And we should trade down from there. You didn't, left behind this nice structured demand, and that is where we got this bounce from right now as well. Looks like Nvidia pre-market also pretty bullish. So you can definitely look for a continuation long in a zone like this. In combination with these old highs right here, it is a pretty interesting zone. Oops, there we go. So Nvidia looks pretty nice as well. Then I want to look at Microsoft, because it has the pretty much same bottom as Nvidia. Microsoft is a bit more nice in my opinion. I've talked about this a couple of times right now, but we had built up a lot of trend liquidity. We were creating all-time highs after all-time high after all-time high for a really long time. So eventually the market has to cool down and take out liquidity from the lows right here and right here until we have taken enough, bounce from a really nice demand zone and move up from there. I pointed out that we had a nice local high right here that you could gain. Let me indicate this with a change of character. That you can gain for an indication locally your trend has switched from bearish to bullish. And as you can see, we created really nice higher lows and higher highs, and we got a nice entry on this breaker block right here. From there, we had this higher time frame high to break right here. This was your daily structure pool. So if you're gonna break this on the higher time frame, you're getting more bullish than bearish on the higher time frame as well. We gained this, and right here, higher time frame, we are also expecting new all-time highs probably because of this change of character, or otherwise the rotation towards these highs are pretty likely. Let's see if we already did something nice. Oh yeah, this is beautiful. Nice liquidity hunt from an internal pullback from all the breakout traders that started buying when we traded above this high. If people used their stop loss on stocks, of course the stop loss is gonna be low here. So all the breakout traders that started buying right here are wrecked. A nice way to fill up orders for the market makers. So this is really nice. From there, you can see pre-market is also already pretty bullish, and we are respecting our lows, leaving them open. So I would wait for market open on Microsoft to then look for continuation. But you should already be positioned right here. If anyone in the stream has a chart request, feel free to leave that behind. And otherwise, I'm probably gonna end this stream and stream again on pre-New York or maybe New York Open. I'll have to see. And then this will be it. Alright, I see no one has a chart request. Oh, McDonald's, McDonald's, McDonald's. Isn't this beautiful? Already got a nice tap into your extreme supply right here, indicating that market makers have filled up their orders to start shorting McDonald's to your technical target of the range low right here. Because if you look on the high time frame, McDonald's is just up until proven otherwise forever. But locally you're getting some indication we're getting more bearish than bullish. And we also have built up a really nice trend liquidity thrill right here locally. And let's see towards what, because of course this move has a purpose. And what is this purpose? It could have been to take out this liquidity. That is why it's in my chart. Of course, a lot of liquidity is built up here. But if the market makers are involved in this high, they want to protect it at all costs and continue to move towards the downside. So the purpose of this up move could be to get in more buyers right here. So a nice inducing of the market to continue their down move, because they already took out a lot of liquidity from the lows, pretty much your extreme liquidity of this whole down move before you got at your range low. So if they want to target this range low, they have to build up new liquidity to continue their down move. Well, we tapped into a pretty nice supply zone right here, took out some extreme liquidity, and we once again got an internal break towards the downside right here. Let's see if you got a local entry. No, you just front ran this and you front ran this supply. Could still mean that if McDonald's comes back right here, taking out this high, tapping into the supply, it can continue the down move. But we can also reject from this local order block right here or right here to continue the down move, because this is just all flags are on red on McDonald's right now. With all this built up local liquidity, the market maker high getting protected right here, and once again your bearish break, it is just screaming we're gonna dump down and see you on the other side. Yeah, beautiful what's happening right here. Once again, if anybody in the stream has a chart request, feel free to leave them behind. Otherwise, I'm gonna end this stream and probably come back in the afternoon, pre-New York or at New York. We'll have to see. Doesn't look like it, then I'm gonna end this stream and see you later. Alright guys, thank you for being here, and ciao!